Let's begin with the itinerary for the first state visit to the nation by an American president since the 1990s. When Donald Trump arrives on Tuesday, he'll spend 2 days thanking and rallying the troops at a new U.S. base in Pyeongtaek, hold summit talks with President Moon Jae-in, and pay tribute to fallen heroes at the National Cemetery. Connyoung has our top story.
The much-anticipated itinerary of U.S. President Donald Trump's 2-day stay in Seoul has finally been unveiled. Upon stepping on South Korean soil for the first time as the President of the United States, Mr. Trump will get right back in the air around midday on Tuesday and head 64 kilometers south of Seoul to the newest and biggest U.S. military installation, the U.S. Army Garrison-Humphreys.
President Trump's visit to Camp Humphreys in Pyeongtaek will be a symbolic opportunity to show South Korea's significant contribution as an ally to the United States.
There, he's expected to speak to his servicemen and tour what's been the focus of a massive $11 billion expansion, over 90% of which South Korea footed. The U.S. first couple will spend the rest of their first day in Seoul at the Blue House. South Korean President Moon Jae-in will sit down with the U.S. leader for a one-on-one, the third of its kind since the two leaders took office, before opening up the table for an expanded summit. Topping the agenda during the bilateral talks are expected to be North Korea's nuclear program and security issues in Northeast Asia, but also trade, judging from Mr. Trump's repeated demands for a revision to the Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement. A joint news conference is scheduled for later in the day. The Blue House says that Mr. Moon plans to take his U.S. counterpart for a nice walk around the front lawn of Sangchunje, a beautiful Korean traditional-style building in the presidential complex. Wrapping up the day will be a state dinner hosted by the Moons, during which the U.S. delegation will get to enjoy an eyeful of Korean culture performances ranging from traditional to K-pop. Highlighting the U.S. leader's agenda on November 8th, the second and final day here, will be his address to South Korea's National Assembly.
The parliamentary address in Seoul, the first for a U.S. president in 25 years, will mark the only opportunity for President Trump to offer the United States views and policy vision for the Korean Peninsula and Northeast Asia.
U.S. President Trump will pay a visit to South Korea's National Cemetery for a floral tribute, after which he'll board Air Force One for China Wednesday afternoon. Connyoung, Arirang News, The Blue House.